Before we begin, thank you very much to Dave M. for joining the Patreon campaign, or rather, upgrading the Patreon campaign to the highest tier. Thank you very much for the added support. All of it, all of the support helps to keep the content coming, the daily show going. I appreciate each and every single one of you who do it. And even if you're not on the Patreon, even if you're just hitting like or leaving your ad blocker off helps a lot too, believe it or not. But yeah, however you're supporting, thank you very much. It's the reason I can keep going. And Dave now needs to DM me over on Patreon to send me whatever video requests they would like. Alright, so we're in familiar territory today because we are talking repaints. Now, repaints we kind of know are the easiest thing that Hasbro and Takara do, right? So no matter what, it seems like a repaint is just the go-to when you need to fill out a wave or just make a little bit of extra money on an expensive mold, you know? You don't have to do the whole engineering process, the molding, all that. It's just there. Pick a new color scheme. Done. But despite how easy a repaint tends to be, at least as far as like a toy release goes, that doesn't guarantee it's going to make it out. There's plenty of repaints over the years that have gotten cut for one reason or another. And it could go anywhere from in the development stage where it's just artwork all the way to, guys, you know that toy we just did like a run of like 2,000 of? Yeah, Target just called. They said they don't want it anymore. Fun times in the toy industry. So we're going to take a look at all my favorite ones, especially the ones that I would still buy in a heartbeat if they would do it, modern or reissue-wise. And we're going to start with a few that I'm just getting out of the way, because we've talked about a lot of this before, like the animated toys. We did a whole video on canceled animated figures, but the ones that were repaints that I wouldn't mind getting again, the Fugitive Wasp. I know we just got one in Age of the Primes, but specifically, I like this version with the Bumblebee head because it's such a weird little happenstance thing. If you don't know the story, this was originally going to be in a deluxe wave with Cybertronian Ironhide, which was the repaint of the Ratchet. But they only had the budget to give one or the other a new head, and they decided Ironhide's head was more important. We get a weird Wasp with Bumblebee's head instead. But because of that, I feel like it makes it more distinct. Like, there's a novelty to it that I appreciate. That, you know, there's something about the new one that doesn't quite scratch the itch left behind by never getting this one. It's nice, but, you know, this makes me laugh. This sparks joy. The other one, not to talk about too much, Blur. So, like, I want the Wasp because it's this weird little footnote in Transformers history. This weird little situation for the reason it is the way it is. I just want the Blur because it's pretty. That Blur pretty. Like you put electric blue lines on a black car. Pretty. You're just not going to mess that up. So, like I said, there's a ton of other repaints from the animated line that never got released. We did a whole video on that. Go search for that in my archives if you want to take a look at that. The other one that we're not touching too much on is canceled BotCon and OTFCC ideas, because there are a ton of those. We need to do a whole video based on those. But if I'm going to pick one to bring up in this video, it's going to be the Fractal. Because the Fractal is two-tone green and gold. There's a reason why Magnetar is the color scheme he is. I'm never going to turn down a green and gold repaint. I'm just not. Probably a good thing they never came out, because I would pay way too much to get a hold of one of these things now. But it is gorgeous, and I like Fractal as a character. I think Fractal as a character is even fascinating, so more reason to be upset that we never got it. Well. But as long as we're on my obsession with green, let's just get all of them out of the way. How about that? And we're going to start with the other green Pteranodon. G2 Swoop would have been my obsession as a kid. I already loved the Dinobot toys as a kid. Had the blue Grimlock. This one would have blown my mind, because Swoop was my favorite Dinobot. Still, in a large way, is. But if you came out in green, oh my god, I would have never put that toy down. I don't know why they never came out in G2. If the molds had gotten lost by then, or if the line just got cut short because they were like early G2, and and the line continued after that. There was a year after that, and they just didn't have any. They just dropped the Dinobot idea for like a year. I don't know. It's a weird little situation. Again, like a lot of these cancellations, but yeah, I would have killed for this. Now we do have the 86 mold getting repainted this way as part of a 2-pack. I really do not care about that sludge. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun getting a hold of. Another one that is technically possible to get is Reverb. Now, this one is weird. You probably never saw this one. So, some of you probably saw and went, oh, I totally forgot about that. So, you remember when the 07 movie was out and Target was doing those exclusive repaints of Scout figures, like a lot of Energon and Cybertron toys were suddenly like back on shelves just to give Target something else to sell in the movie line? Yeah, they took the Combaticon figures, the helicopter and the tank mold, and they did these. They did some repaints of those, along with a Cybertron Lugnuts repaint. Point being, these were one of those toys of like, oh well, we started producing them, and then Target said no, we don't want them anymore. So a bunch made it onto eBay, where you can still technically get it if you want to pay through the nose. But you could have also gotten it through collector forums back in the day, because some people get their hands on entire cases of them. And if you could feasibly have bought 2 of these Reverbs and 2 of the tanks, which I can't remember the name of offhand, you could have gotten a weird version of Bruticus Maximus going. And I've never seen anyone do that, but it's technically possible. Expensive, but possible. But yeah, the military green, the blue, the yellow, like this works. This works. It's a really pretty toy. It's one of the better combiner molds from Energon. And speaking of Energon and my green obsession, why can't we ever get this Megatron? Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. The dark gray and black, again the yellow, the bright neon green, like piercing through the black. This is gorgeous. This is so pretty. I want this so badly. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. But you know what? Really nice. We have the core class. We have the core class Energon Megatron. So, someone's got to repaint it into that eventually, right? Ah, well. Missed opportunities. Yeah, it's just super nice. I just think it's a really, really pretty figure. Ah, well. The other one, as long as we're talking about this one, here's the weird circumstance. Here's the thing. I think this was, again, a Target exclusive. But it was supposed to, like, weirdly enough be packed in with, like, world's smallest Soundwave, if I remember correctly. And I don't know if it got canceled because, like, the retailers decided, like, we don't want it anymore. It's too big for us to sell. Or, we're not going to sell that choking hazard you just packed in with this toy. Of course, they would just take the Soundwave out if that was the case. Either way, that was the plan. But it didn't get released for whatever reason. And it's frustrating and upsetting. And the Optimus ran the same way. I believe Optimus is going to get packed in with somebody too. I don't know who. Offhand, I do not remember who it was supposed to be. But this one would have been nice. Now, I have been mean to this mold in the past. In recent years, I have looked back on this mold and gone, I'm being a little bit harsh. It's not really as bad as I'm making it out to be here, Like, it's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. But that said, I do like it better like this, where all the drones are a solid color. Because what you're doing here is you're eliminating the Megazord look. You're bringing it back to looking more like a Transformer because it's a lot more solid in color scheme. Now, the color scheme could definitely be better, but I don't mind it. I do actually kind of like it in a weird way. I mean, red and black's kind of the brand color, if you didn't notice. But it's a really, really nice take on Energon Optimus. It's not too departed from the character, but, nice little, like, switch up. I just think it would look better in just, like, to have like a solid color looking one. That's all. I think this one was packed in with the world's smallest too. Don't remember who. Just it's a weird circumstance. Here's another canceled. And we'll stick to the Unicron trilogy. How about that? I always loved this repaint, and I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why this one appeals to me as hard as it does, because it's Hot Shot. It's that Hot Shot mold. I genuinely do not like that Hot Shot mold. But there is just something about it that works as smokescreen for me, and I think it works because the emphasis on a race car driver in robot mode is pairing really well with smokescreen being done up like a rally car. The two are blending well, and I think that smokescreen color scheme works really, really well on the Hotshot mold. This was originally due to be, I believe, one of the canceled Battle in a Box sets, along with Drench, like the G2 style repaint of Wheeljack from Armada. But unfortunately, neither saw the light of day. But this one I do think popped up on eBay once in a while. Like, I do know that like there's like a few floating around in the world. I would probably buy it if Hasbro did the modern characters as this. You know, they have new molds for Wheeljack and Hotshot. I would probably buy it if they do the Battle in the Box now. Isn't it weird to think the canceled Battle in the Box could actually be done now out of modern toys? Like, it's weird to think about. And hey, one more use out of that Sideswipe mold. Hasbro loves to use that Sideswipe mold. Let's get into some weird stuff, okay? So, over in Japan, they did a fan vote once upon a time to determine what character out of this list of 10 we are actually going to be producing as an actual figure. You, the fans, get to decide. I'm trying to remember the winner offhand. I don't know, because I am very eepy today. I did not sleep well. Point being, it wasn't the two I wanted. The two I wanted was this Silverbolt, repainted from Prime Beast Hunter's Grimwing. Would he have turned into an eagle dog? No. No, he would not have. He would have been the same Urzagriff. And I don't even think they retooled the head for this one. It's just straight up repaint. But you know what? It works in a really weird way. That's a really good looking mold. I really, really like the sculpt on that mold. And then to give it that color scheme, I think worked. I think in a weird way, that color scheme works on that mold. It is definitely invoking Silverbolt, but, you know, there's that uniqueness to it as well. It's like if Silverbolt got the Matrix of leadership or something. Which, you know, a character like him, I could see that. I could see him as a Matrix bearer. He's got the chivalry for it. Yeah, but this is just super pretty. Like, I'm always frustrated this one didn't get done. I know the runner-up was this Alpha Trion done from Generation Scourge. That was just the fate. That was just the thing back in the day. Like, if you had if you were a Scourge toy, you would inevitably be repainted into Alpha Trion because you both look like old man spaceship alien guys. Like you kind of fit the same mold in a weird way. Yeah, like, this one is obviously obsolete. You know, we're probably never going to get this one again because who's ever going to put Scourge in an Earth mode again? I think it amuses me because Alpha Trion with an Earth mode is not something that I've ever really considered. So it would have been amusing to see him turn into something that actually exists in the real world. Here's another one. I'm going to go back to the Beast Machines thing, the Beast Wars thing with Silverbolt, because there is one from Beast Wars. Technically Universe. Universe is another realm that we've already kind of explored as far as cancellations go. They had a lot too. We'll jump back to Beast Wars for a bit, because there's technically a mold from there that was going to be repainted, and I really, really, really don't like that it wasn't. And that is the Soundwave mold. Now, again, weird circumstances, right? Because this was originally an Animorph toy, and then they decided the Animorph line kind of sucks. Let's just do this as like a weird bonus wave of Beast Wars. We'll call them mutants, okay, and we'll name the Bat Gator Soundwave, and double pun the name, which is a fantastic double pun of a Transformer name. The unfortunate thing is, as much as I'm fascinated by the Beast Wars mutants, I have 2 of them, never got the Razor Claw, and never got the Soundwave because it's 100% gold plastic. The fact that there's no repaint in existence hurts me. This, on the other hand, is Leatherhide. Leatherhide was originally going to be part of a set called the Halloween Horror Cons, which would have been a rare time back then that Hasbro did anything for specific Halloween purpose or holiday purposes. You know, we have a holiday Optimus now, but like this is before that was a more normal thing amongst Hasbro. The point of the set was to just basically make some creepy figures for the Halloween mood, and it would have included the one repaint any of the mutants ever got. It's a weird one. I don't know why the bat head is gold, but at this point, any repaint of that toy would have been fantastic. I would have loved to experience that figure. I cannot experience that figure. It is way too expensive to risk because of how fragile it is. So, unfortunately, that's just one of those molds that's just, it looks fascinating. It looks really interesting and different. You can't play with it. You literally have no way that you are capable of playing with it. Not happening. The horror cons also bring up to mind things like Black Arachnneia. As you see, I'm struggling for a segue to get to the Vinyltech Black Arachnneia. They were funny. In Takara, they were funny about how to actually use the Decepticharge version of the Windcharger mold, or the Overdrive mold, depending on which version of the character we're talking about. Point being, at one time, this was such a out there idea, like the craziness of this mold, like what do we actually do with the mold, got to Takara so much they decided, why not just make it Black Widow? Let's make it Black Arachnneia. And it looks cool, don't get me wrong, and like putting some female representation into the line, I think would have been a nice little touch, you know, because this was, you know, remember this, like mid-2000s, like they didn't have much female Transformer presence at all yet. So I was all for adding a little bit more. It's a really weird pull to get Black Arachnneia into a vehicle mode, much less a modern Earth mode. Super weird, right? But like fascinating at the same time. The mold would eventually come out as RC, so they did eventually make like a Vinyltech female character. There were never any in alternators, so at least we got one in there. Incidentally, that one also had a repaint that never came out, which was the Pteranodon medic. So this mold itself was... I did a whole thing. I did a whole video about how crazy alternators and Vinyltech were to produce as a toy line. And all the weirdness over this mold is in there. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But, you know, there's weirder. There's weirder that are possible now. I am always upset they didn't go with this. So, when they canceled the original G1 RC toy, the next idea was, what if we just repainted Chrome Dome? You know, and that way RC can be a Headmaster the way she was in Rebirth. And I'm disappointed this never happened, because would it have looked good? No, it really wouldn't have. But it would have been amusing. It would have been amusing to me. So, yeah, I kind of still want this. And here's the crazy thing about RC Chrome Dome. It's still possible, because Hasbro has shown they are still willing to use Titan's Return molds. You know, we are anticipating Carnivac, who is a retool of Wolfwire. They're still willing to use these things. So we could still break out that Chrome Dome, and we could still put it to use to give us a Headmaster RC. I mean, I know there technically is one. They use the Blur mold, which does fit better, but hey, That just means that the head sculpt is ready to go. So it is strictly a repaint. You could strictly do just repaints and get that toy out right now and make like the buffest RC, because that is a buff looking mold. It'd be amusing though, and that's what I'm after here. I'm just after amusement. I just want toys that make me laugh. Here's a couple of weird ones. We'll go back to the movies to finish this off. We'll go back to movie lines for a little bit. So this is movie Downshift. I already really like the hubcap mold, that old like timey hot rod thing, and because it's such a unique vehicle mode for Transformers to do, and it's a really clean transformation too. That's really fun. This Big Daddy looking bot is a really cool repaint of that toy, which I think has a lot more personality to it. The one thing about that hubcap is just like it's strict orange and brown shades, and doesn't really have a lot of personality to it. This exudes some personality. There is some aura to this toy, and it's regrettable it never actually saw the light of day outside of the packaging example you saw. It's a super cool looking bot, you know, and when you look at one of those old-timey hot rod cars, that's the kind of paint job you expect to see. You expect to see black with a yellow flame job. Yeah, like this one would have been fun. Like this one would have been like my favorite version of a mold I already really like. Kind of unfortunate. Kind of unfortunate. I'm going to end off on one of the more notable ones. So, we almost got a movie Sound Blaster. Almost. I believe this is a rare instance of a Takara repaint that got canceled, because I think the US version of this mold never made it out, let alone the repaint. And I want to say this was for movie Best line, like the repaint line they did of like all the favorite molds over the course of the first 3 movies. Needless to say, regardless of all that, this is a really good mold. Like, I'm not one for movie toys, but the Soundwave mold is one of my absolute favorites. I absolutely like this toy. And I want to say some iteration of this did make it out. I want to say this one was one of those where like a few people actually had it and it was floating around for a bit. It just looks super cool. And I like the switch up of Sound Blaster's traditional shapes here, like the face all the way down the center being black and just the sides and horns being silver. I think there's something really striking about that. I think it's a really menacing look compared to how he normally looks. I really like it. You know, I like the hex pattern on the toy too, on top of the car. It's interesting. And we can take it one step further, because along with a Sound Blaster, we were going to just get a straight up movie blaster out of this. I miss the days where they had to get creative with getting molds out. It's like, well, we haven't done a blaster. Well, we got a Soundwave, but that Soundwave looks nothing like, but never mind that. Never mind that. Just put it out. Put it out. Oh, well. And this one looks cool, too. Like, the red and the gold look really nice. Like, this mold didn't do anything wrong. Like, this mold, like, every time this mold tried to get reused and repainted or something, like, yeah, it looked real good. Because it's a pretty good mold. Yeah, we never really got any farther with it. It's unfortunate. Lost potential. Okay, so that's the list. At least that's the list for today. There's so many repaints we could talk about. Like I said, we're going to talk about the BotCon ones at some point. They never came out. We might, if there's a line with a lot of cancellations that I can dig up, we might talk about that like we have in the past too. But these are just the ones that I really wish had come out. The ones I would still buy. They did a modern version. If there's one that you remember that never made it out into the wild, please feel free to share it and talk about it in the comments below. And as always, I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.